We're yet again on your screens. Good morning to you, our viewers. Welcome to another exciting edition of the Camnet TV breakfast show of today being the 18th of July 2023. I hope you're having a lovely, good morning. I'm your host, Miriam Kaimbani. In studio, I'm not alone. I'm joined by my handsome colleague. I wanted to say beautiful, but I just realized. By my handsome colleague. Good morning, Patrick.
Morning, Miriam Kaimba. How is it going?
Well, it's okay. It's a positive Tuesday. We are trying to be in a positive mood. Like I said, starting Monday, like you alluded yesterday, that, a lot of people would complain about Monday, but I did emphasize that, you need to keep your day positive as possible. So we are trying as well on a Tuesday again to keep our Tuesday very positive.
Interesting. So every day when we wake up, we have to always keep it positive, because at the end of the day, it is a positive mindset that matters for us to do whatever we want to do. We need to have the right mindset. If we do not have the right mindset, it becomes difficult for us to achieve our goals. And make sure that you set the day rolling by making sure that you plan how you want to spend the day. Don't spend the day unpredictably. You have to make sure that you predict every step of the day, so that you make sure that you accomplish something at the end of the day. You have to start small and then eventually go big. And I think that's the way to go. So you don't have to start the day awaiting everything that comes your way. You have to start the day, plan it, and make sure that you achieve your goals. Eventually, as you wind up the year in December, you discover that you would have achieved more, but it has to be little steps that can lead you to that big achievement that you seek to achieve in your life.
Exactly. Everyday planning is very important. You don't have to plan for a year or after 6 months I plan to achieve this, but everyday planning is very, very essential. Anyway, to begin our show this morning, let us go direct into our health corner and just see what the doctor has for us this morning.
Hi, good morning, and welcome to the Health Corner here on the Breakfast Show. I am Dr. Nakubiana Mufaya. So this week we are talking about anxiety disorder, and yesterday we defined what anxiety disorder is. We say that anxiety disorder is an exaggerated fear or anxiety or worry towards a certain situation or a certain object, and this leads to abnormal behaviors. Now, today we'll talk about the types of anxiety disorders. There are some disorders that are grouped under the anxiety disorder bracket. So, anxiety disorder can be grouped into generalized anxiety disorder, where a person is having generalized symptoms, or they have anxiety towards general things that affect our lives, things that are not distressing to normal people. They get anxiety in those situations. Then we also have what we call panic attacks. Now, these panic attacks usually occur in specific situations where somebody is maybe exposed to a situation that distresses them. So they end up having this overwhelmed response to a specific task or a specific situation that they are in, and so they end up having a panic attack. Then the other disorder is what we call social anxiety disorder or social phobia. So social anxiety disorder usually comes in situations where a person is supposed to be in a social situation. So if a person is exposed to a social situation, whether it's a crowd of people or they have to give a speech, or they don't want to socialize with other people in terms of going for a party or going for an event, a function, and they don't want to find themselves in those situations because they fear being embarrassed, not saying the right things, or just the whole situation. So they are afraid of being in those situations. So that is what we call social anxiety disorder. Then we also have what we call specific phobias, and these specific phobias can come in many different forms. There are so many phobias that people would have. So they would have fear of, for example, fear of animals, that we call zoophobia. So somebody might be scared of animals, and it can be not just a specific animal, but it can just be any animal. So they are afraid of cats, dogs, like all animals. So that is what we call zoophobia. So they can't even go to a zoo because they're afraid that maybe they might be attacked by one of the animals, or they might come into close contact, and they just have all these imaginations, and so they avoid going to the zoo or going to places where there are animals. Then there are people who are afraid of flying or using an aeroplane. There are people who are afraid of heights, people who are afraid of being in heights, like I have said. People who are afraid of heights, people who are afraid of being in closed up areas. So they are afraid of being in a closed space. Maybe they are afraid that the roof might fall. There are people who are afraid of just going out, so they always want to be in their home. What we call agoraphobia, where somebody is afraid of even going to the market or just leaving their house because they're afraid maybe they would be attacked on the way, or they would meet people and it become awkward. So there are all these specific phobias that people would have, and those are characterized under or grouped under specific phobias. So those are the main types of anxiety disorders that are there. So like I have said, is generalized anxiety disorder, panic attacks, social anxiety disorder, and also specific phobias. So we'll talk more about the symptoms of these disorders tomorrow. Make sure that you watch tomorrow and learn how these symptoms or these disorders manifest. What are the symptoms that people would have? Depending on whether it's a generalized disorder or a panic attack, sometimes the symptoms would be different, even though there is an overlap in the way they present or the symptoms that they would have. So tomorrow we'll talk about the symptoms. I do hope you learned something today. Make sure you tell your friends to watch again tomorrow. And also, if you missed any episodes, you can always catch up on my YouTube channel at Dr. Nakuyana Mfaya. Stay blessed and stay healthy. I'll see you again tomorrow.
There you have it. Just like yesterday we were looking at anxiety disorder, and today we have continued. I hope you have learned one or two things there. Quite interesting topic, yeah.
Interesting. I hope you're managing your anxiety very well. And I can tell that you are managing that anxiety very, very well. You are keeping cool amidst anything that may be trying to disturb you. And I like your confidence, by the way.
Thank you. Like I said, you know, it's a positive Tuesday as well, so we're keeping it positive.
Interesting. We have to always keep it up positive.
Yeah.
Our dear viewers, you are watching the Camnet Breakfast Show with me, Patrick Soko, and Miriam Kaimba. and we bring you nothing but community aspects on the Monday and Tuesday breakfast show editions. So today, interesting enough, we also have a fully packed program. We'll be looking at quite interesting stories that were making the headlines in the main news as of last evening on Camnet TV. Just now, we have to look at how the Kwacha is performing against other major convertibles. And the Kwacha looks like this on the 18th of July 2023 as of 0704 update. Now let's start with the United States dollar. Now $1 US is buying at 18 kwacha 71 ngwe and selling at 19 kwacha 08 ngwe. The Greater British Pound is buying at 24 kwacha 42 ngwe and selling at 24 kwacha 90 ngwe. And the euro is buying at 20 kwacha 97 ngwe and selling at 21 kwacha 39 ngwe. The South African rand, the kwacha's twin, is buying at 1 kwacha 03 ngwe and selling at 1 kwacha 05 ngwe. Now we look back at the US dollar against the kwacha. It is at 18 kwacha 71 ngwe and 19 kwacha 08 ngwe there. That's the sad news for those of us who are anticipating changes, especially by the end of the month. It's given that the Energy Regulation Board, ERB, will be coming to make that announcement that tends to agitate, especially those with cars.
Yeah,
you know,
the fuel pump price.
Yeah, so we always determine when we see the kwacha, for instance, performing like that, we see that the news at the end of the month may not be good.
But you see, I think I told you yesterday that, you know, those who are keeping dollars are expecting the dollar to go to 18, to 19 kwacha. My predictions were right.
I think that their prayers are also working accordingly.
My prediction was right.
Yeah, you know, it is. But we you know, at the moment, you know, like I was listening to the Center for Trade Policy and Development, you know, we cannot expect overall sudden change in terms of economic fundamentals improving instantly in the wake of the debt restructuring deal that Zambia got through its state creditors. Now, it means that we still have to do a lot of homework. We have to continuously push things that will tend to stabilize our kwacha. And there's no substitute to enhance the production or productivity in the economy towards stabilizing the currency. So at the end of the day, we are just keeping our fingers closed and hoping for the best in the midst of everything that is happening at the moment.
Indeed, we are praying and hoping for the best, but just a reminder to our viewers that we have now officially opened our phone lines, and those who are watching us live on Facebook, you can, you know, participate on our topic this morning. Anyway, we are looking at some of the trending issues that are happening in our community. You too, our viewers, can take part in our conversation this morning by dropping us a message if you're watching us live on Facebook, and those who are watching us in the comfort of your home, please do call us and participate on our program this morning. And just to look at some of the stories that we had in our news yesterday, we did see residents of Lusaka's Kanyama Bonaventure area bemoaning the poor security situation in the area due to lack of a police post. The resident told Camnet News that the establishment of a police post in the area is an urgent need to curb crime. Meanwhile, Kanyama constituency area member of Parliament has commissioned the construction of a police post in the area at a cost of about 800,000 kwacha using the 2022 Constituency Development Fund, CDF. Anyway, let's get direct into playing that story.
To curtail increasing criminal activities in Lusaka's Bonaventure area, the constituents, using the 2022 CDF, has commenced construction of a police post in Namkolo ward. Residents in the area say there are a lot of criminal activities due to lack of a police post.
Security police ripatali kusangalala police so olo muntu ngati akuchita choipa uzaenda kusangalala kuja kuzapeze kati kuli kapokola umozi
so apatakala okondwera maningi pamene taona kuti bachita chani baleta police bazasegula police post chifukwa kuno kuli majangi kuli bakawalala kuli ma drugs
And speaking during the groundbreaking ceremony, Area Councillor Evans Kaliko and Kanyama Constituency Development Fund Committee Chairperson Magdalene Chilombo underscored the importance of a police post in the area.
The construction of this police post holds a great significance for our community. It symbolizes our collective determination to combat crime, promote peace, and foster a sense of security among our citizens.
To the contractor, as a chairperson, it is my sincere hope and plea that you work cooperatively and diligently within the period of time, together with the local authority, to the best of its standards.
Officiating as guest of honor, Kanyama lawmaker Moti Chinkuli bemoaned the delay in commencing the project, which is attributed to procedural issues in procurement.
I'll give an example. I'm a side person as I stand here, though this is a milestone towards development into our constituency. This issue that we are doing here could have been done sometime last year. But now I would ask myself, why are we doing it now? People want to see development in various constituencies. And the president has released funds. The funds that we are putting up to come up with this police post was for CDF 2022.
Meanwhile, Kanyama Police Station officer in charge, Jason Lungu, has commended the CDF committee for opting to build a police post as it will ease policing operations.
I call upon the CDF committee to continue with this initiative of increasing our presence in the communities through construction of a number of police posts like this particular one. We call upon them to continue even in other wards and other areas so that the presence of police is enhanced in other communities.
The contractor says the police post is expected to be constructed in 3 months.
It's about 845,000. That's the total cost.
Kanyama constituency is one of the largest and most populated in the country, which makes it difficult for the police to patrol, and such initiatives are aimed at easing this challenge. For Camnet TV News, I am Kaptula Afias in Lusaka.
A very good thing indeed. We have seen a construction of a police post. I hope this will reduce crime levels in Kanyama Bonaventure area. Quite sad also, just to mention a few, sometimes I get to somehow blame the residents. I'll give you an example where, I'm trying to take my opinion, rather my thought. In 2016, there was this ritual killings and stuff like that. We saw a lot of police posts which were gutted by the residents, and later on the residents came again back, start appealing to the government. So if something has been commissioned for you, constructed for you, put out there by the government for you, I think you should, take it with the necessary care that it deserves.
I understand that sometimes people feel agitated in that, for example, they feel like police or law enforcement wings are not doing enough to provide security or protect their lives and property in the area, and sometimes people tend to riot, and in the process they equally demolish police posts. But that in the long run has only showed that it only disadvantages the community.
Yeah, it does.
So I think there are better ways to address issues that affect the community and members of and the police, because at the end of the day, the community stands to lose because criminals always take advantage of the absence of a police post, because they know by the time you are reporting, they would have found a way of running away from the scene or making sure that they cannot be caught. When they are committing a crime, they know to say, by the time police are here, we would have done whatever we want.
Would have done whatever we want.
So criminals tend to take advantage of such situations. So every time you are aggrieved, remember that there are the channels you can use to make sure that you report your case. First of all, you can utilize institutions like the Human Rights Commission. If you feel as the community your rights are being violated and you're not being protected, you can report to the Human Rights Commission. But also there is another critical institution which you can report to, which is the Zambia Police Public Complaints Commission. They address issues pertaining to complaints related to the police and how the police are conducting themselves. So this institution is near the Ministry of Finance, their headquarters. So you can go and report your case, and then those people will be able to intervene and see your concerns and be able to attend to them. Other critical institutions that are also tend to resolve these issues are the Zambia Police Commission. The commissioners are found there where there is the passport office. So you can go there in the CBD and report to the commission. The commission is responsible for the conduct also of the police. They're the ones who are behind the recruitment of police officers. So if there is any misconduct you are not happy with, you can make sure that you report those matters, and they'll be able to attend to those matters, because that way you are able to address this issue amicably, but as opposed to resorting to violence, because riots, like I earlier alluded to, mean nothing apart from destruction, and destruction to property is an upfront to development.
Quite interesting. All in all, we are happy that residents of Lusaka, Kanyama, Bonaventure can now have a police post at the end of the day. And we're moving forward to another story that we saw coming from Garden Compound in Mandevo constituency, where marketeers have called on government to help them claim their money from a named individual who allegedly swindled them. In April 2022, Zambian Excellency Entrepreneurs Hub Limited launched an initiative to empower marketeers with loans for which they were required to make an insurance deposit. Those spoken to by Camnet TV News feel their money have gone to waste, as there is no sign that they will get the said loans. Anyway, let's get to look at that story.
These are marketeers from Masauka Cooperative Market who allege that a certain individual has swindled them of their hard-earned money. In April this year, Zambian Excellence Entrepreneurs Hub Limited launched an initiative to empower marketeers with loans for which they were required to make an insurance deposit of money depending on how much they applied for. Those spoken to asked President Hakainde Hichilema to intervene, alleging that some government officials and market officials are conniving with the said individual to swindle them.
Dr. Kaluwa was at EEH at Zambia Excellence Entrepreneurship Hub. Twenze kuendo tilipilisa ndrama zama insurance kutapase kwa maloni. Kunali wa SME, wa deputy, wa director wa muwanga. Wanatumi wakuli wa minister kuti wachite present wa minister through wa president kuti watipase maloni. So tinalipira insurance kuli wenezegezeke. Kuchoka ijataimu kufika lero. Kulibe. Kulina ma government officials wali involve muli scam.
So, kwela kwao, even ba market, wanatipasa malisiti ni haya. Yame wanatipasa, yame tinalipira zonse ndrama. Biu ya kwatu, even ma groups yame tezo panga, wakaba utitipange ma groups, yame netizamba kulipira insurance. Vantu wali 6 chape, wali hapa pa insurance, tinalipira almost toto yose, 11,000 kwacha. Hii ndiye receipt yame nachoka, kuliba zegezeki. But tikakambako, bonse vitikakamba, kubwa ripoti ya kuti ni makadas. Sindise makadas.
Tinapeleka ndrama zatu kuno ku market ya Masauka. So ndrama zamene hizo akabatwa pasa maloni until manje 7 months ndrama swati pasa pamene lili pano. Nine widow. Nyumba nistarendi wananichosa na mnyumba nisungiwa.
They claim that their leaders have bought plots and vehicles from the said money.
Anati tengera ma 3,000 chira muntu 3 pin yametina mpasa. Anaendo mu 3 pin yameneyo anaendo gula ma plot ali 44. Mundrama zatu zamenezo anaendo gula ma plot.
But when contacted for a comment, Masauka Cooperative Market chairperson Rabson Msoni said he is part of the people who have been swindled and is in the process of reporting the case to the police.
The whole process, the way it was, me, I'm the chairperson of Masauka Cooperative Market. I'm a marketeer. And I also applied. We've also made the formal complaint through Lusaka Central Police. And we, if you, how I wish if you came, we are still at the same at our offices. We want to go to Central Police where we are submitting all the markets because it is all the markets that are involved.
Vincent Piri for Camnet News in Lusaka.
Revelations have continued to pour from different marketeers at different markets in Lusaka of how Zambia Excellence Entrepreneurship Hub has robbed them of their hard-earned cash in the name of empowering them with loans to boost their businesses. Wednesday, some marketeers at Kazimai Market in Lusaka and City Market complained that the company they entrusted would boost their businesses has only ended up robbing them. The Zambia National Marketeers Credit Association, Zanamaka, has however appealed to marketers to ensure that they confirm with the union on the authenticity of any company that expresses interest in loaning out money to the traders or any organization that promotes business schemes to avoid being victims of scammers.
It's very, sad that a number of our marketeers, in other markets, have been swindled out of their hard-earned income. I think it's because of not understanding, certain things. It is very important going forward that every marketeer, before they get engaged into anything, they have to have where they can go and find out. We have a Ministry of Local Government. Anything that is coming in the market must have a clearance. What I feel, they must have a clearance from the Ministry of Local Government. They must have a clearance from government itself. Because now, this is not the first time. We've had a situation again, I think 3-5 years ago, where a number of marketeers were again swindled with the Presidential Empowerment Directive.
Meanwhile, Mr. Kamea has appealed to government to consider allocating a small fund under the Constituency Development Fund CDF to marketers to ensure that the traders have where to get resources and avoid being victims of scammers.
On the other side, again, we have advised government that with the CDF fund is also another opportunity for our people. CDF fund is in all the constituencies across the country. Why don't we apportion a particular percentage going into the markets so that our people begin to access something which is very genuine, and then appoint certain institutions that will stand in between government and our people. I think that way will create a lot of sanity other than what is happening now.
Meanwhile, the owners of the organization remain in police custody as the matter is being further investigated. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Interesting story there, stories rather, pertaining to the marketeers and
yes.
This infamous entrepreneurship hub.
Yeah, Entrepreneurship Hub Limited launched Zambia. We did see on Sunday the police issuing the statements that they have made an arrest of the director of this same Entrepreneurship Hub Limited.
Yeah.
We are yet to see how the matter will, unfold before the police do their investigations and then later on maybe taken to the courts of law. But quite interesting, my concern is why tell marketeers that you're going to, facilitate for their loans and then later on you're not giving them the loans? This is like you heard from marketeers in Garden Compound in Mandevu Constituency saying this is now 7 months down the line we have not received those loans we were told. And if we, air out our grievances, we are told, no, we are cadres.
Interesting. And I think, Miriam, you're right. Yeah. And this story has been with us for a while. For this week, we are sustaining it just so that we get closure to it, because that's one of the things what we have started doing here on Camnet TV to make sure that stories reach a conclusive end. Interesting enough, we saw, like you earlier alluded to, that the police did make an arrest of one of the directors. And, unfortunately, there are quite a number of people that were swindled in such circumstances. We are calling it swindled because people did not see the empowerment and people were not coming forth to inform the people. Then you leave people with a lot of anxiety. You are not informing them if you are implementing this program. They have no idea, and they have no support. Marketeers are people who are trying by all means to make sure that they survive within their little means, and any opportunity for them to boost their business, they take it with the seriousness, you know. So now they invest their resources and their little resources into that that institution, thinking that they'll be getting a good deal in form of a loan, and they end up being swindled. You know, what does that mean for their business? Ultimately, for me, I think their business is being affected, and you can tell that it's quite devastating the way the issues are unfolding, because a lot of marketeers have been calling us, telling us about this predicament that they find themselves in. So I think this is an eye-opener, especially for institutions that are also conducting empowerment activities. We know you need, for you to have a better reputation and make sure that people listen when you want to implement a project. You have to make sure that you uphold your reputation, because at the end of the day, this reputation which has been damaged for this institution, I don't think people will ever go back and trust them to say they can help them with any resources. Miriam.
But you know, the quite interesting part is that when this thing was launched, according to the marketeers, you know, some government officials were there. So the moment marketeers see government officials there, they believe this thing is genuine and it's true. But at the end of the day, if they are not seeing the empowerment, you know, you get to question the credibility of that thing.
Like you line your thought now. Yes, when you bring government there, then you are bringing credence to the project, you understand? So even people have every reason to trust, to say, this is our ministry, this is our government that seeks to make sure that we are empowered. But now, so when someone comes through that, people tend to take it serious. But if something goes wrong, I think also the government needed to issue a statement pertaining to this, especially, is it the Ministry of Small Scale Entrepreneurs?
Yes.
We need to make sure that they need to make sure that they detach themselves from this organization, because at the end of the day, it is denting their image. If you look at it, I don't think...
like the marketeers from, is it Mutendere, did mention that, you know, the Ministry of Small and Medium came to when this program was launched. He was there. That is according to what they said. So later on, they're not seeing the empowerment that they so much waited for. You get to question and you know, question the credibility and just wonder what exactly happened. Anyway, I don't want to say much, but people would want to say, did this person maybe, you know, connive so that we can be duped and stuff like that? These are the questions that are running in the minds of marketeers, but I'm happy that, you know, this matter has been reported to the police, and currently investigations are going on, and we wait to see how this case unfolds, and we'll keep, you know, our viewers updated on the outcome. In
case you want to join the conversation, you can do so by calling the number on your screen, or you can leave us a message. Those of you interacting with us via our Facebook page, we value your viewership, and continue to with the program as we continue to unpack the breakfast show. And we are also streaming live on our YouTube channel. And interesting enough, let's also look at another story where a 50-year-old widow of Lusaka's Garden House area is appealing to the Ministry of Labor and Social Security to help her access the benefits for her late husband, Lawrence Erasmus van der Stan, from a named company. In an interview with Camnet News, Ms. van der Stan alleges that her husband worked for a backloads logistical solutions for Central and Southern Africa, who have failed to release the benefits for her late husband. She is requesting that the money be made available in order for her to transfer the remains of her late husband to the family in South Africa. So let's look at that story.
She could not hold it anymore, but resorted to shedding tears as the benefits for her late husband, Erasmus van Steden, who died on 20th May 2022, have not been provided by the company he worked for. The widow explains that the late husband, Lawrence Erasmus van Steden, worked for a private firm, Backloads Logistical Solutions, for Central and Southern Africa from 2009 to 2021, when he resigned on medical grounds. Mrs. van Steden says she took the matter to the courts of law, who up to now have not helped the situation.
Ndelomba na kuri ba Mr. Kainde ala kujujushani kuri collapse ama shows bale bomba na ma lawyers pamo bale pela ma date ya bufi ine fonde lako.
The widow also explains that the company has vowed not to pay the dues for her late husband for unknown reasons. She's now calling for government to help her access the late husband's benefit because life has been unbearable for her family from the time the husband died. Mrs. Van Steden says she is unable to transfer the remains of her late husband in the form of ashes to his relatives in South Africa.
Defo kutwala mwe bantu bakwalesa ama benefits defo kutwala ama ashes yaba munganda shakwa tempia ya kutwalilapo ama ashes yali munganda timondala nechitumbi munganda ndala ne.
She also explains to this journalist that the company has been in the habit of not paying benefits such as gratuity to its workers. This journalist spoke to the former workmates of Mr. Van Staden on condition of anonymity, who confirmed the widow's claim as true.
We are all also trying to push up for that. We are also trying to fight for that as well. So we are just pushing up to now. But nothing happened.
Since yes. Starting from 2014 up to the time it passed away. Sinatengepo magraduate sana tupate na manje magraduate. Kaya mwenye wake Steve tumeweza kutengeneza na accountant up to now saka ambapo vili voice.
But when reached for a comment, Barclays Logistical Solutions for Central and Southern Africa manager refuted the claims and stated that all the benefits were mated.
Van Staden was paid everything he was due. He was a contract employee, not on an open working basis. He was on a contract. He was paid his benefits. Proof of all his benefits were being given to her. And now Miss Beatrice Changara claims to be Van Staden, but she never married him. Okay, right. He's now trying to say no. But I want this, I want that.
But when queried further about how the late Van Staden and other workers allegedly not received their benefits, the manager threatened to sue this journalist for harassment and turned to using abusive language.
To hear from your side.
Which company?
I'm a journalist.
Which company?
I think I did introduce my company in the first place. There's nothing
no,
like...
give me your ID number.
No, I can't give you my ID number. For what?
Fuck you.
According to Section 54(1)(b) and (c) of the Employment Code Act, employees are entitled to a lump sum amount paid by the employer as a token of appreciation for the services they have provided towards the company. Mrs. Van Staden only hopes the relevant authorities will come to her rescue. Nelson Zulu for Camnet News, Lusaka.
Quite a sad story there, but we would like to apologize for that
F-word.
Vulgar language. Yeah,
vulgar language.
I would like to apologize for that to our viewers.
They needed to censor it.
Censor it, yeah, but we send our apologies for that. We have taken note. But it's quite sad anyway.
Yeah, the story is sad, and I think you can also see that the employer was uncooperative because,
yes.
That's what we do is that when people are making allegations, we have to hear both sides of the story, and to just make sure that everyone else is given an opportunity to hear their side of the story.
Yeah, but the way he came out, I don't know. I think you can tell that from the reporter, he was trying to engage and get his side of the story on why this man was not, paid his dues, because the wife is claiming that this man, his dues were not paid in full. So she needs that money anyway. She's entitled. If that money was not paid, she is entitled because she is the wife. She is entitled and she wants to take the remains of her husband to the relatives. So it's quite sad if at the end of the day, you're trying to get into a mutual conversation with the employer there, and it turns out like that. It's very sad, very sad. But anyway, our condolences to the family anyway. We hope that at the end of the day, her issue will be addressed. Yeah.
Okay, interesting enough, we also look at two stories where the National Union of Public and Private Educators of Zambia, NUPES, have called for increased funding to the education sector in the 2024 national budget and the story where the Zambia National Union of Teachers says the private sector must take advantage of the government's move to build more classroom blocks and recruitment of more teachers in rural areas by building houses that teachers can rent. So let's get to look at these two stories.
Let there be enough funding to actualize the vocational part. We know we have got the academic part, which is mainly bookish, but we have got the skills part, the vocational part, that is hands-on. And you can't do hands-on courses or programs or subjects without enough equipment in place. We need workshops, we need wood workshops, metal workshops in schools. We need even, this time around we're supposed to be even talking about studios, so that even teachers of music can be doing music with their children. We need to buy music, you need to listen to music done by teachers and their children. And this is how it ought to be. That is also about talent tapping. We also are cognizant of the fact that the Ministry of Education has a number of challenges that need to be addressed. Accommodation for the teachers. There should be money there. Let's construct enough housing units for our teachers. Let's as well come up with a way of ensuring that these schools are connected to the national grid, so that teachers have got electricity where they are working from. You can imagine a teacher teaching computer studies without electricity at a school. So we need all that. And in all this, it is the government or the employer in this case that wins, because everything goes to actually add value in terms of services that are offered on behalf of the government. So this is our expectation in line with education. Thank you.
Thank you very much. At the moment, we are concerned that we don't have adequate accommodation in especially rural areas for the teachers. When you rate the government and the premium that they've placed on the education sector, we feel that there is a lot of hope that is given. But looking at the population and the resource envelope and where we're trying to mobilize these resources, we've continued to talk to government. But we also want to extend this for the private sector and indeed individuals to seize the opportunity and put up houses, because in rural areas where the government is putting up, classroom schools, classroom space, expanding classroom space under the CDF project, there are new teachers that are being deployed and posted there. So they seize the opportunity, because our teachers so far, what we've done ourselves as Labour Movement is to ensure that we bargain for housing allowance. So those that are not accommodated in institutional accommodation, they get housing allowance, which should be able to get them to rent decent accommodation. Although when we look at the amount of money that they would get, when you compare with certain towns like Lusaka, it may not be much. They may not get accommodation that matches their standard. But it's something that we are continuously talking with government, and we hope that as we open negotiations this year, it's one of the issues that we must address.
Well, there you have it. Those are some of the stories that are making the headlines in the Camnet main news. We were looking at the story where Zanut is calling on the private sector to take advantage of the issue of accommodation for teachers in rural areas. The government recruited about 30,000 teachers and 11,000 health practitioners. So those are quite huge numbers, and it means that the demand for accommodation in these rural areas is high. And these are continuous recruitment. So we need to continuously be upgrading and making sure that these civil servants who are getting recruited are able to find where to stay at the end of the day. Not every teacher can be accommodated, for example, in the school, within the school, because the houses are limited as well. So it is just important that we get to look at avenues how the private sector can complement, because sometimes in rural areas, it tends to discourage a lot of people, Miriam, where you have a situation where a teacher is living in a glass-thatched house.
Yeah.
And you can imagine, because these are teachers who need to be dignified, or doctors.
And that's the more reason why we have seen the trend of, you know, a lot of teachers, maybe they work for 6 months, they would want, you know, to be transferred back to Lusaka. Mostly Lusaka and Copperbelt, you'll find this situation. But now, this again, a question that begs an answer is, what happens to the pupils in the rural areas?
Those who remain there, yeah.
Yes, because that's, again, another concern. If all the teachers want to be transferred back to Lusaka or on the Copperbelt, it becomes a danger, because you're leaving the children there, the school-going children, in a very, you know, in a very sad situation where, you know, they cannot get the required lessons that they need. Anyway, indeed, it's quite essential that, you know, private sectors take advantage and see how they can complement this.
Yeah, interesting. And Nupez was also calling for enhanced budgetary allocation to the Ministry of Education. So we're talking about budget allocation. The Ministry of Finance is working on the 2024 national budget, and it has been getting various submissions from various stakeholders pertaining to the 2024 national budget. The budget is important in that it shapes how development has to look at the coming year, and it is important that citizens get involved in the budgeting process. How do citizens get involved? It is through various meetings which the government is holding, through civil society organizations, through the various government departments. And it is also important that we also really get it to a level where we have community engagements, like community town hall meetings, where these people can meet and tell the Ministry of Finance their developmental needs at local level. So such that as they formulate the budget, it is all encompassing. But we do understand that these ministries do make the recommendations based on how the people are reacting on the ground. So, and now that we have the CDF, which is being utilized to steer development in various localities, people are also waiting to see whether it will be maintained at 28.3 million kwacha in the 2024 national budget, or it will be upscaled. So people are also looking closely to that, because the CDF has been said to be a major vehicle that the government is utilizing to make sure that it steers development across the country. Now, this CDF also, we understand that it has not just come on its own, it has come with its own challenges, and various citizens have been raising a lot of concerns pertaining to the administration of the Constituency Development Fund. However, others are also happy that they are benefiting. So it's quite an issue that we need to also look at, because at the end of the day, when we are looking at the CDF, it has to also make sure that we have to make sure that it attends to the major needs of the community that benefit the majority in the community, because at the end of the day, if only a few people are going to see the relevance of this fund, it becomes inevitable. But ultimately, we are able to say that, for example, we have seen progress in the area of the construction of classroom blocks and relevant offices at a district level. We have also seen that, for instance, the issue of desks is being attended to using the CDF, and we have also seen that others are benefiting from the empowerment, though not everyone. So we can see how we also make sure that each and every constituency also journeys towards industrialization, so that we are able to build industries that citizens can be able to get affiliated to and be able to contribute meaningfully to national development. Youth skills centers are vital for us as a country, because we also have youths at the moment who do not have any skill, and they are just roaming the streets. We have to make sure that we also accommodate them under the CDF, and the skills development centers play a vital role in us attending to that need. So let's keep exploring on this issue pertaining to the budget, but we just hope that the 2024 budget will be all-inclusive and accommodating various submissions made by the various stakeholders. Now, talking about the budget, also we are looking at various commitments Zambia has made. For example, when we're talking about social sectors, we're talking about education. We have to make sure that we increase funding to education to about let's say 20%, as per some of the declarations that Zambia is accredited to. We also have to make sure that health is also get a good percent in line with various commitments. So now, moving on the program, Miriam, what other stories do we still have there to just take a look at?
Okay, another story that we have is coming from the Examination Council of Zambia, which has threatened to withdraw the examination center status for 3 schools for misappropriating examination fees of a total of 316 pupils in Ndola, Kaputula and Lusaka. ECZ Director General Michael Chilala says the misappropriation of the funds has resulted in some members of the public blaming the council as the pupils were not registered for GEC and junior secondary in external examination scheduled to commence on July 26. Anyway, let's get direct into playing that story.
The Examinations Council of Zambia has dispelled assertions that it has advantaged some pupils from sitting for the 2023 GCE and junior secondary or grade 9 external examinations. ECZ Executive Director Dr. Michael Chilala has attributed the situation in some instances, in several cases, to schools which misappropriated funds as they did not deposit in the council's account. Speaking in an interview on Monday, Dr. Chilala said a total of 316 pupils were affected from Frederick Chiluba and Chibote grade 9 examination centers in Ndola and Kaputa respectively, and Rolling Stone GCE Center in Lusaka.
We have cases where the candidates, instead of paying through the payment gateway online or paying using mobile money as was prescribed in the guidelines, they gave money to school authorities where they are going to write from. Now, there is no way they were going to automatically migrate to the final register, since they did not put the money in the system that links to the register for them to move to the final register. So they gave money to school authorities, and in certain cases, those school authorities misapplied their finances.
He added that all the 3 schools that have misappropriated examination fees will lose their examination center status, among other punitive measures.
Our take is that the candidates should not suffer. And it is for that reason that we have engaged the PEOs and the schools, and where they have found the money, we've advised them now to deposit and give us evidence of payment so that we can register these candidates and then they write. And such has happened. And so I can give example cases of Frederick Chiluba grade 9 external center in Ndola, where we have 27 candidates who found themselves in this case. We have 225 candidates at Chibote grade 9 external center in Northern Province in Kaputa, where such candidates paid money to a head teacher, and the head teacher ran away from the school. Eventually, the PEO brought the matter to our attention, and we have provided for them. We have 64 candidates for GCE at Rolling Stones here in Lusaka, which is another private center, where the money was paid to school authorities. The school authorities misapplied the funds, and now they have come to say they have the money to pay.
Dr. Chilala has since urged members of the public to register early for examinations, as well as follow the right procedure to avoid unnecessary inconveniences. This year's GCE and junior secondary external examinations commences on 26th July. For Camnet TV, I am Kaputula Afias in Lusaka.
There you have it. That's an interesting story there coming from the Examination Council of Zambia, talking about examination centers who have misappropriated monies that, the candidates have paid, and they are not doing the...
How did they misappropriate the examination fees? For a total of 316 pupils in Ndola, Kaputula, and Lusaka. And these pupils were not even registered for GEC and junior secondary external examination, which are scheduled for July 26, and July 26 is just nearby.
When they duly paid.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think those are some of the irregularities. People should be serious with running these institutions, you know, especially when you're running a school, you know, you are taking for granted people's commitments, you know, you invest a lot of energy for you to go to school to pay that money, study hard that you pass, and someone tells you to say, we did, you are not, your name is not there, you are not among those who are writing the exams.
Okay, now, Patrick Sokom, away from that, there's another interesting story that we did see yesterday coming from the court, which involves a Lusaka businessman, Mr. Francis Muchema, who is also known as Commander 2. Now, those who know Mr. Francis Muchema will know that he is from the Patriotic Front. He is a Patriotic Front member, and he is appearing before the courts of law where he's facing allegations in relation to possession of property reasonably suspected of being proceeds of crime worth over 12 million kwacha. And yesterday, quite interesting, we did see one of his surety going to the court and telling the magistrate that, you know what, I do not want to continue being the surety of this person. I am withdrawing, and this is due to some circumstances beyond my control. And anyway, as a surety, Soko, you have to know that, you know, that is voluntary work. And in as much as you can say, okay, today you might wake up and say, today I don't want to be a surety anymore, and tell the court, you know what, I no longer want to be a surety of this accused person. You do not have to give any reason to the court. That's how it is. So, indeed, before court, the Material Area Member of Parliament, Mr. Miles Sampa, withdrew his surety for Mr. Mchema, who is facing corruption-related charges, and told the court that the reason was due to some circumstances beyond his control.
Tell me something. Was Mr. Sampa in court, and while Mr. Mchema was also in court, and he was saying that in his face?
And one interesting thing, before the court, court session had begun in the morning, these two individuals were spotted outside the courtroom, you know, having a discussion, a conversation. A very good conversation, I guess, because, you know, they were, you know, chatting, laughing, stuff like that. I presume that he was told that, hey, you know what, man, this is what I've come to do. I'm withdrawing my surety, and this is my decision anyway, because maybe I'm engaged with other duties and I can no longer be your surety and stuff like that. So, anyway, let's get down.
But how would you look at it if I do that to you, or you do that to me? How would you think?
Like I said, in my preamble, I did allude to the fact that, you know, being a surety, this is a voluntary work, and anytime you might decide to withdraw without giving any reason. So, anyway, if you want to take it in a Christian way, in a Christian way, you would say, okay, at least maybe he should have waited for more time so that Mr. Mchema can replace him with another surety.
For me, the only thing I can tell you that maybe I'm not running away. I think that's what is leading to these things.
No, yeah.
I think if we analyze it, I think the Kaiser Zulu saga has raised a lot of fear amongst the sureties. You know, you even again, comrade Nicholas Chilangwa again, for example, he was.
Yes, Nixon Chilangwa. He's still in detention.
Now, you can imagine. I'm sure these are things that are raising concerns. To say, maybe Angancha Yava Kaiser Zulu. So maybe I should avoid that altogether. So, you know this issues.
That's a new term, Angancha Yava Kaiser Zulu.
I think so. You know, that's a new term in town. But at the end of the day, we still don't know where Mr. Zulu is.
And you know, the most interesting part is that this morning, today, which is the 18th of July, he's supposed to appear before court for return of bench warrant, but we are yet, we haven't had any details.
We need an update in the afternoon during the lunchtime cafe.
Exactly, we'll get more updates. But anyway, after Mr. Sampa withdrew his surety for Mr. Mchemwa, we did see, after his matter was concluded before court, we did see officers, Anti-Corruption Commission officers, waiting for him outside the courtroom, and he was immediately arrested. So the court has ordered that he remains in detention until he secures another surety who can replace Mr. Mouse Sampa.
Okay, let's listen to this story.
Francis Muchemwa, is popularly known as Commander 2, found himself in a dilemma Monday morning after one of his surety, Mouse Sampa, the Mataro area Member of Parliament, withdrew. Mr. Sampa, who guaranteed the bond of Mr. Mchemwa, who is facing corruption charges, approached the Lusaka Magistrate Court this morning, the 17th of July 2023, with a request seeking to withdraw as surety for the accused. Mr. Sampa told Chief Resident Magistrate Davis Chiwili that his decision to withdraw his surety is due to some circumstances beyond his control. Upon hearing the lawmaker's request, Magistrate Chiwili in his short ruling ordered that the accused remain in detention until he secures another surety to replace Mr. Sampa. After his matter was adjourned, the accused found Anti-Corruption Commission officers waiting for him outside the courtroom ready to take him to prison. Mr. Mchemwa is facing charges relating to possession of property worth over 12 million kwacha, suspected of being proceeds of crime. The state accuses him of possessing a house in Silverest area valued at 2.5 million kwacha, possession of apartments valued at 4.5 million kwacha in the same area, among other charges, allegations which he has denied before the Lusaka Magistrate Court. He has also been jointly charged with 2 other companies. The matter stands adjourned to July 24, 2023. Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Oh, there you have it. That's the story. They are coming from the courts. Interesting enough, Miriam.
Interesting. We hope that Mr. Mchemwa will ensure that he secures another surety who is going to replace Mr. Mouse Sampa and, you know, comes out of detention. Currently, he was taken yesterday to remand prison at Kamwala.
Okay, there you have it. Do we have any other interesting story from the court?
One other interesting story that we saw from the court was coming from the former Deputy Inspector General of Police, Madam Charity Katanga, who was found with a case to answer. This again is in relation to possession of property reasonably suspected to be proceeds of crime. She is in this matter accused of, being in possession of 10 Haiger buses, which are deemed to be proceeds of crime. Yesterday, she was found with a case to answer by the Lusaka Magistrate Court and has since been placed on a defense. She did anyway, requested the court for more time so that, she can adequately prepare for her defense. And one other interesting story, anyway, coming from the court, also what we saw yesterday, was from the National Democratic Congress leader, Savoy Imboila, who was again also found with a case to answer by the court. And this is in relation to a matter where she's accused of issuing derogatory remarks against State House Communications Specialist, Mr. Clayson Hamasaka. Anyway, let's get to look at that story. Former Deputy Inspector General of Police, Charity Katanga, has requested for more time in order to adequately prepare for her defense in an alleged corruption-related case. The accused was Monday morning, the 17th of July 2023, found with a case to answer in a matter she's charged with possession of 10 Haiger buses, which are deemed to be proceeds of crime. When the matter came up for ruling on case or no case to answer, Trial Magistrate Davis Chiwidi ruled that the state had established a prima facie case against her. Mrs. Katanga, who served as the Deputy Inspector General of Police during the Patriotic Front administration, is accused of corruptly acquiring property, a charge which he has denied. The accused is facing one count of possession of property reasonably suspected to be proceeds of crime valued at over $2 million United States dollars and 1.5 million kwacha, contrary to Section 71 of the Forfeiture and Proceeds of Crime Act No. 19 of 2010 of the laws of Zambia. It is alleged that the accused between the 1st of January 2017 and the 6th of June 2022 bought 10 Higer buses valued at over 26 million kwacha, property believed to have been corruptly gained. After a matter was adjourned, the accused was shielded by family members who did not want any single camera to film the face of the accused. Meanwhile, National Democratic Congress leader Savoyi Mboila has also been found with a case to answer in a matter she is accused of issuing derogatory remarks against State House Communications Specialist Mr. Clayson Hamasaka. Ms. Mboila was found with a case to answer this morning and has since been placed on a defense. In this case, the state has slapped the opposition leader with 2 counts of libel contrary to Section 191 of the Penal Code, Chapter 8 of the laws of Zambia. She is alleged to have on the 9th of September 2022 published defamatory matters against State House Chief Communications Specialist Mr. Hamasaka on a Facebook page, alleging that Mr. Hamasaka was developing his farm using corrupt means and he is a ghost taking advantage of women who are seeking jobs under the United Party for National Development. The matter has since been adjourned to 16th of August 2023. Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News. Quite interesting stories there coming from the court. Like where I said earlier on, that was the National Democratic Congress leader Savoyi Mboila being found with a case to answer in relation to a case she's charged with libel. This is in relation where she's accused of issuing derogatory remarks against State House Communications Specialist Mr. Clayson Hamasaka. We have also seen in that same clip the former Deputy Inspector General of Police, Madam Charity Katanga, also being found with a case to answer. This is in relation to a case where she's accused of, possessing 10 Higer buses, which are deemed to be proceeds of crime. Anyway, the two are expected to commence their defense in August. We are yet to know what they are going to say in their defense as they, begin or rather commence their defense before the courts of law. They have requested for more time in order to adequately prepare their defense.
Interesting. So let's also look, appreciate our viewers on our Facebook who are watching us live. And we look at Savior Sky, who says good morning, and good morning to you too, Savior. And also Goliath Amuleya, watching from Mpatamato, Luansha, Copper Belt. So these are some of the people who are watching us live on the Camnet TV Facebook page. And we value your viewership and continue supporting us.
Indeed, we value your viewership. Please always make time for us every morning from Mondays to Fridays as we bring you nothing but the best on the breakfast show. We try by all means to ensure that we keep you entertained, and if there are some of the pressing issues, especially on Mondays and Tuesdays, if there are some of the pressing issues that you would want your area member of parliament or councillors to address in your communities, you can drop us a message or a text, and we'll be able to channel those concerns to your relevant civic leaders in the community and be able to to follow up that case.
Interesting. And this is where we have to call it a day on the Camnet Breakfast Show Tuesday edition community. And make sure that you join us tomorrow for the Camnet Breakfast Show Governance, Policy and Politics with me, Patrick Soko, and Miriam Kaimba. This is where we have to say our bye-byes. Keep it on Camnet TV, because Camnet TV is not just another channel.
You forgot another thing. Be positive. Be positive. Be positive. It's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful Tuesday. Have a beautiful Tuesday and make sure that, you know, nothing spoils your day. Anyway, have a blessed day.